Welcome to Simple Logic. I'm your host, Nola. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing a video showing how the media biases sometimes affects people's narratives. Today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Colin Cowherd of The Herd. Talk about something that could be very damaging to somebody's reputation. So, let's take a listen.
Former NFL DB, former Scout Panthers and Seahawks, saw him all over the NFL Network this weekend in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, who's in that Netflix docu-series, which has been a lot of fun. It humanizes all those guys. All of them come across as adults. You know, it's interesting. Fans love chutzpah. Baker and Manziel and Jameis Winston and Jay Cutler, they like attitude. And you watch.
Wait, what? They like attitude? Let's take a listen. Keep listening.
Watch Netflix quarterback, and it's like, that's not what I want. I want people that can compartmentalize, raise their kids, their family, be available to their teammates. It really.
Okay. So listen to that part. If you're an average listener and you're listening to that, what are you thinking? You're thinking, okay, who are these guys? They're not available to their teammates. They don't raise their families. They're not good people. It is 2023. Those narratives are very damaging to a human being, a player, anybody, if they are not accurate. For instance, he mentions Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is 29 years old. Jameis Winston has been in the league for 9 years. Jameis Winston is a husband, a father of 2 kids. None of those things are accurate. And also, check this out. Just last season, Jameis Winston won the 2022 Ed Block Courage Award for the New Orleans Saints. That's something that was voted by his teammates. So for the average listener, if you hear the narrative that Colin just used, that is damaging. One of the things that gets me frustrated when inaccuracies when nobody pays for them. Colin, get a new stick. That is terrible. That is a horrible thing to say. That is inaccurate. Now, I don't know Baker Mayfield that well. I know Colin has had a feud with Baker before he got drafted. Well, Baker's right here in Tampa, and I see him in practice. Yes, he might not be maybe the greatest talent on the field, but none of those things that seem accurate to me. Is he a good husband? Is he a good teammate? So far, that's been accurate. But you say those things, and it's damaging to people's narratives. Just because you want to sell quarterbacks to NFL quarterbacks to take part in it, doesn't mean you actually damage people's reputation. Oh, yeah, it's a CEO position. It's an intelligent position. Yes, duh. That's why they draft these guys. They're talented. But not all of them wear suits all the time.
Really is kind of a profile in adulthood. That's really important.
So this is the way that we always viewed it when I worked with the Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks. That position is presidential in field. It's a regal position. There's a reason why you would see Matt Ryan suited up in press conferences, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. There's a feel that guy outside of the owner of the team, the general manager, head coach, the quarterback is everything. And he has to represent the franchise in that manner. So his maturity.
All right. So in order to make our points, we don't need to be lying. We don't need to lie. Okay? We can make a case and talk about how important the quarterback position is. And it is. It is very important. Because that's the one position that needs to know what everybody's job is. It is very, very important. But we don't need to add to the narrative and act like they always wear suits. They don't always wear suits. Lamar Jackson's been an MVP. He doesn't always wear a suit. Russell Wilson doesn't always wear a suit. Patrick Mahomes doesn't always wear a suit. And he won the Super Bowl last season. Jalen Hurts, Jameis, they don't always wear suits. But we don't always have to add to the narratives. I mean, we have footage on footage showing this, telling us that this is not accurate. But it's a narrative that we just craft. I understand this is the summertime. And we need to come up with something to fill the airspace, something to please the advertisers. But please stop it, especially Colin. Every time he mentions a Jameis, it's always something negative. There's nothing negative happening. I just showed you. The Ed Block Award by his teammates, voted by his teammates just last season. Does it sound like a bad teammate to you? This is terrible. And narratives like this that go unchallenged sticks to people for the rest of their career. There's so many narratives about so many different people out there, whether in politics, in sports, in everyday news. There are inaccuracies just because these people don't do their homework. All you have to do is do your homework. And he's been running with this shtick for like the last decade. I'm not sure you've ever even spoken to the guy to know this. Because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, most people that I know, as a matter of fact, almost everybody that I've known that has met Jameis Winston walk away and say how much of a fine young man he is. Then you have this blabbermouth that has all these ratings coming up with this damaging narrative. That is not true. And that is just sad. Sad. That someone as accomplished as Colin Cowherd will keep spreading this false narrative about this young man. And that is not fair. Colin, get a new stick. Do your homework. Do your job. And start spreading lies out there about these young men that are doing their best every season to do the best on the field. That is not fair. Questions, comments, and concerns. What are your thoughts about this? Feel free to follow us on our social media platforms as Real Supernova on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and that's Simple Logic on Patreon. Make sure you hit that notification button and subscribe. And we'll be back next time.